what is going on with this crypto market? Well, let's dive into a picture that's literally worth 1,000 words. Green is the year-over-year change in the Bitcoin price. White is the year-over-year change in the printed money supply. I've been saying how correlated they are. Guys, the Federal Reserve is literally controlling this white line. They're reducing the money supply, and that's causing all assets, including Bitcoin, to crash along with it. The big question is, when will they finally reverse course? Well, it's going to happen when the marketplace, the government, people who want to be reelected, everyone who has assets starts to demand that they stop doing this tightening, because they're tightening to fight inflation, but inflation is driven by supply chain issues in China and around the world, which are just causing things to go up naturally. And so you can't really fight that by just reducing the money supply and crashing financial markets. So the question is, when does that reverse? Because when it reverses, guys, look at the percentages. Look at how Bitcoin does. This is like a 275% gain. Once that reverses, Bitcoin will whipsaw back. And so it's just a question of when. Eventually, the Federal Reserve will stop manipulating the markets down, but we'll see. It's hard to call the bottom, extremely hard to call the bottom, especially because you have geopolitical tension. You cannot hedge against World War III. You don't know what's going on with Russia, what's going on in Europe. It's all escalating. So that's just part of the drama that's going on here. Regardless, we're investing for the long term, right? You can't invest and protect your portfolio against World War III. It's practically impossible because the odds of that are so low. Let's look at more Bitcoin analysis. So you can just see, guys, I don't know if you remember me talking about this chart. Well, we finally reached the blue level, which is indicative of a bottom. Blue is the percent of Bitcoin supply in loss. So now it's at like a 40% of Bitcoin is finally in loss, usually indicative of a bottom. You can just see whenever we reach this capitulation level, it is a bottom. Now, it could obviously go longer and deeper, but we'll stay on top of that, guys. The most important thing that I look at is market sentiment. Look at where we are now. People are so afraid. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is now at a 9. That is extreme fear. I don't think it can go much lower, maybe hit a 7. That many frightened people that are actively trying to short the market and sell their Bitcoin cannot be right. Markets always manipulate people and do the exact opposite of what people expect. Let's go around the world, look at the adoption. Nigeria issues crypto asset rules in a move that could boost adoption. They just classified Bitcoin as a security. So more adoption globally, guys. Very early stage asset, like getting it cheap. Let's go into Luna because that's kind of the biggest story of the day. The problem with Luna was always that it was always demand driven. So when people wanted to buy the UST stablecoin, they burned the Luna token, making it more valuable. Well, what about when people wanted to dump the UST stablecoin? They had to print the Luna token, making it less valuable. So they printed trillions of tokens, and that's why it crashed. And so they're coming out with a plan to hard fork the Luna token, redistribute it to the holders. And so you have people like the CEO of Binance saying that this won't work. Forking does not give the new fork any value. That's wishful thinking. One cannot void all transactions after an old snapshot, both on-chain and off-chain. Where's all the BTC that was supposed to be used as reserves? So they're trying to print a new chain, distribute it to the old holders, hoping that this psychology, market-driven sentiment asset does not crash further. Not my favorite type of asset. You want to buy assets that have incredible growth, incredible use cases, and are not just driven by hype. We'll stay on top of this market. There's so much left to discover and discuss.